Matcha is often seen as one of the most iconic symbols of Japan, yet its origins do not lie there. The method of grinding tea into a fine powder and whisking it with hot water was already practiced in China during the Song dynasty. What makes this history notable is that the tradition eventually disappeared in China, while in Japan it was preserved, refined, and gradually became part of a distinct cultural identity. This contrast raises a simple but important question. How did a practice vanish in one place while becoming deeply rooted in another? Matcha itself is a finely ground powder made from specially cultivated green tea leaves known as tencha, which are grown under shade. Unlike steeped tea, where the leaves are discarded after brewing, matcha involves consuming the entire leaf. Because of this, it provides a concentrated source of antioxidants, chlorophyll, and L-theanine, contributing to a steady, calm form of alertness. Its color is a vivid green, and its taste is defined by a savory umami profile. The roots of matcha can be traced back to China during the Tang dynasty between the 7th and 10th centuries. At that time, tea leaves were commonly steamed, sometimes mixed with salt, and compressed into bricks. This form made them easier to transport and trade across long distances. When preparing tea, a portion of the brick would be broken off, ground into powder, and mixed with hot water. Although still different from modern matcha, this method established the basic idea of powdered tea consumption. It was during the Song dynasty, from 960 to 1279, that the preparation method became more refined. Specialized tools such as bowls and bamboo whisks began to appear, and people prepared a drink known as mocha, or powdered tea. This involved whisking powdered tea with hot water to produce a frothy surface. Around the same time, Japanese Zen Buddhist monks were traveling to China to study and obtain religious texts. In the temples, they encountered mocha and became familiar with both the drink and its method of preparation. However, the production of compressed tea during the Song period was labor-intensive and costly. Even small mistakes in processing could ruin the final product. Because of this, it remained relatively inaccessible to the general population. A major shift occurred during the Ming dynasty when the founding emperor, Zhu Yuanzhang, banned the production of compressed tea in 1391. This decision effectively ended the widespread use of powdered tea in China. In its place, a simpler method emerged, where loose tea leaves were steeped directly in hot water, a practice that continues in China today. In Japan, the earliest recorded reference to tea appears in the 9th century in the historical text Nihon Koki. It mentions the Buddhist monk Eichu, who is believed to have brought tea back from China. However, powdered tea in a form closer to matcha arrived later, around the 12th century. This development is closely associated with the monk Myoan Eisai, who traveled to China in the late 1180s. During his time there, he encountered mocha in Buddhist temples and observed how it was prepared using a bamboo whisk. Eisai is credited with bringing this style of tea preparation back to Japan. While the practice gradually declined in China during the Ming dynasty, it continued to develop in Japan. Over time, it became closely tied to Zen Buddhist practices, where tea was valued not only as a beverage, but also as a means of maintaining focus and discipline during meditation. As matcha took root in Japan, it gained importance within Zen monasteries and among the upper classes, particularly between the 14th and 16th centuries. Early methods of production involved grinding tea leaves with relatively simple tools, resulting in a coarse texture. This changed in the 14th century with the introduction of specialized stone mills designed specifically for tea. These mills produced a much finer powder, significantly improving both texture and overall quality. During the Muromachi period, from 1336 to 1573, tea culture expanded beyond elite circles and became more widespread among the general population. At the same time, among the upper classes, drinking tea evolved into a cultural practice associated with refinement and status. Expensive Chinese ceramics were often used in tea gatherings, reflecting both aesthetic values and social hierarchy. For a long time, it was believed that the practice of growing tea plants under shade began in Japan in the late 16th century. This idea was supported by accounts such as that of the Portuguese missionary João Rodrigues, who described shaded cultivation in his early 17th century writings. However, more recent soil analyses from tea-producing regions like Uji suggest that this technique may have been in use as early as the first half of the 15th century. Originally, shading was used as a practical method to protect young tea plants from frost. Over time, it led to significant changes in the characteristics of the tea itself. By reducing exposure to sunlight, the process slows photosynthesis, which in turn prevents the conversion of theanine into tannins. As a result, the leaves retain a higher level of umami while reducing bitterness and astringency. At the same time, chlorophyll levels increase, giving matcha its distinctive bright green color. Earlier forms of powdered tea introduced from China tended to be more brown in appearance. The status of matcha in Japan changed significantly after the Meiji Restoration in 1868. As the country underwent rapid modernization and the feudal system was dismantled, many of the traditional social structures that supported matcha culture disappeared. The shogunate lost power, and the roles of feudal lords and court nobles diminished. Since these groups had been key patrons of matcha, its cultural and economic importance declined sharply during this period. Despite this decline, matcha did not disappear. In recent decades, it has experienced a resurgence, both within Japan and internationally. It has become increasingly visible in global food culture, appearing in products such as green tea lattes, desserts, and ice cream. Large international coffee chains have played a role in introducing matcha to wider audiences. This renewed popularity began to accelerate in the early 2000s, particularly when specialty brands started promoting matcha in health-focused markets such as Whole Foods Market. Its bright green color made it visually distinctive and well-suited to social media platforms like Instagram and TikTok. As a result, it gained traction among consumers interested in wellness and lifestyle trends. Today, matcha continues to grow in global popularity. Market projections suggest that its value will increase significantly in the coming years, reflecting rising demand across different regions. Interestingly, while Japan remains known for producing high-quality ceremonial-grade matcha, China has become the largest producer by volume. Chinese production focuses largely on commercial and industrial-grade matcha, while Japan produces smaller quantities with an emphasis on quality, often facing higher prices and limited supply.